So welcome everyone. In this video we will talk about complexometric titrations. Okay, so from the name itself it is clear that these are the titrations which involve the formation of a complex. Okay, so complex means that for example here is our metal ion in the center, and that metal ion is being surrounded by a number of different atoms, so we will say this is a kind of complex. Okay, so this is what the basic complex is. Now let us talk about the complexometric titrations. So complexometric titrations involve the titration between metal ions and a complexing agent or a chelating agent, example EDTA. This is just the basic of it, that here a metal ion will react with our complexing agent. Now let us see the principle of this titration in order to understand better that what is happening. So in this method what happens that an ion is being changed into a complex ion, and the equivalence point is being detected with the help of metal indicators. Okay, so here particularly I have written metal indicators, or also known as the metal ion indicators, because the indicators which are being used in the complexometric titrations are not the other normal indicators. These are the metal ion indicators, and that is why this is another important topic about which we will discuss in a separate video. Okay, so metal ion indicators are the indicators which are being used in our complexometric titrations to determine the equivalence point. So now let us understand this better with a diagram. Okay, oh I'm sorry. Okay, so here what is happening, that for example we have taken our conical flask, and in that flask we have taken our sample which contain our metal ions which are to be analyzed. Okay, here are our metal ions which we have to analyze, and after that we will add suitable metal indicator, and this metal indicator, what it will do, it will form a complex with our metal ions. Okay, so our indicator and our metal ion will react, and they will form a complex. So when metal ion will be in a complex, when the metal ion indicator will be in a complex with the metal ions, then that complex will be having a particular color. Okay, so after that we will begin our titration with our suitable chelating agent, and this chelating agent, what it will do, it will replace the metal indicator, from this complex, and it will itself form a complex with the metal ions. Okay, so now when the titration will begin, so our metal ion will form a complex with the chelating agent, and our indicator, which is metal ion indicator, which was earlier in a complex with the metal ion, it will become free. Okay, so what I'm saying is that earlier, before the titration, there was in the sample, in the conical flask, there was a complex which was our metal ion and our metal ion indicator. Okay, so that complex was having one particular color. After the titration, what happened, that our chelating agent, it replaced the metal ion indicator, and it itself formed a complex with metal ions, and our metal ion indicator become free. So when our metal ion indicator will become free, then that because of that, the color of the solution will be some different. So this change in color will represent the endpoint. Okay, so I hope this principle is clear to you, that whenever the indicator is in a complex, it is having different color, and when the indicator becomes free, it is of different color, and that change in color represents our endpoint. So this is the basic principle for our complexometric titrations. So complexometric titrations are used to analyze the concentration of unknown metal ions which are present in the sample solution. This is the reason why we use the complexometric titrations. So the metal indicator complex is less stable than the metal chelating complex. Okay, that is why the reaction is being favored. So this metal indicator and the metal ion complex, it is less stable than this complex, and that is why this reaction is being favored, and metal ion and chelating complex is being formed, whereas the indicator is liberated as free. Okay, so this complex formation depends upon the pH, which is usually around 10, and the endpoint is determined by color change in the solution when all the dye gets displaced from the metal ion indicator. Okay, so let us see an example of this. So for example, our sample contains magnesium ions. Okay, this is our sample, and that magnesium, we use a suitable metal indicator, for example EBT stands for iriochrome black tea, which is an important metal ion indicator in the complexometric titrations. This EBTA will form a complex with magnesium ions, and that complex will result in a change of the color of the solution to wine red color. Okay, so here wine red color solution will be formed, and then we will begin our titration with our chelating agent, for example EDTA. So this EDTA will replace the indicator, and it itself will form a complex with the metal ion. Okay, so here metal ion and EDTA complex is formed, and the EBT, which is our indicator, it will become free. So this free EBT imparts blue color to the solution. Okay, so when the wine red color solution changes into blue color, we consider that our titration has been complete. So this is the basic of our complexometry titration, that in this suitable metal ion indicators are being used, which result in the change of the color of the solution, which imparts our endpoint. So I hope this theory is clear to you. Now there are certain terms which are being used in this titration, which are often asked in short questions, so it is important to know that. So the very first term is the ligands. Okay, so ligand is any kind of ion or a molecule which is attached to a metal ion by a coordinate bonding. Okay, for example, this is ammonia molecule. Ammonia molecule is a ligand because it has a lone pair of electrons on it, and in coordinate bonding what is happening, that electron pair is being shared. Okay, so this for which this shares its electron pair with metal ion and forms a bond, so this is our ligand. Now the next term is the chelation. Okay, so for understanding chelation we need to understand what are polydentate ligands. Okay, so just now we talked about the ammonia molecule, which is a ligand. So this has one site of attachment with the metal ion, so we say that this is a monodentate ligand. Okay, so whenever there is any kind of ligand in which the site of attachment is two or more than two, we say that that ligand is a polydentate ligand. Okay, for example, this is ethylene diamine. There is a ligand called ethylene diamine. So in ethylene diamine there are two nitrogen atoms, and both of these are capable of forming a bond with the metal ion. Okay, so here there are two sides of this in this ligand. This whole is a ligand. Okay, so in this ligand there are two sides or which can form a bond with a metal ion. So we say that this is a polydentate ligand. Okay, so when a polydentate ligand forms a bond with any kind of metal ion, that process is known as chelation, and this complex which is being formed, okay, this is known as chelate. So I hope this is clear to you, that whenever there is any kind of ligand in which there are more than one site with which it can form a bond with the metal ion, then that process is known as chelation, in which the polydentate ligand forms a bond with the metal ion, and the complex which is being formed after the bond formation is known as chelate. Okay, so I hope this definition is clear to you. Now let us read it out. So chelation means it involves the formation or the presence of two or more separate coordinate bonds between polydentate ligand and a single central atom. Okay, now what is chelate? The complexes that the polydentate ligand form with the metal ion through covalent or coordinate bonding are known as chelates. Okay, so now there is another term which is known as the sequestering agents. Okay, so whenever the complex which is okay, if the complex formed between the complexing agent and the metal ion is soluble in water, then it is known as sequestering agent, and EDTA is also a kind of sequestering agent because it forms water soluble complexes. Okay, so this was all about our complexometric titrations, the basic principle for it, and some other kinds of terms which are being used in this. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, so please subscribe and like it. Thank you.